Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order, the special meeting of council on September 10th at 6:15. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? Seeing none, then the business for which the meeting was called is the automobile extrication report. I have a resolution that council proceeds in camera in order to address a matter pertaining to.
We're not going in camera.
Oh, we're not.
Unless
okay.
you ask.
Okay, I'm sorry. So we will move right into the automobile extrication PowerPoint. We will not be going into closed at this time. Thank you. So does staff want to
Sure, we'll go ahead.
Take over the report?
Does council desire to see the PowerPoint? We put it out in the agenda, and it's very similar to what you saw in June.
No, I'm okay.
Doug, Maria, did you want to see the PowerPoint, or are you okay to go ahead with the recommendation from staff?
I'm fine. I've actually had a chance to review it as part of the agenda.
That should be fine.
Okay. So if you want to go
So we'll go ahead with the report, and I'll read the whole report. It's not that lengthy. On June 16th, 2020, Deputy Chief Rob Painshaw made a presentation on auto extrication. The presentation demonstrated a strong case for the fire department to be equipped to perform auto extrication. It explained that the department is already trained and went on to explain the annual budget implications along with an estimated cost to implement the program. Recently, a fatal automobile accident that was quite close to Rankin Fire Hall demonstrated the value in having extrication equipment stationed within the township. The example demonstrated inefficiency in response time and not being able to utilize the trained firefighters on the scene. Basically, no firefighters were on the scene first because of the proximity of the accident and had to wait for the Township of Lone Shore Valley Fire Department to arrive. In this case, location was the factor, and there's no reflection on the efficiency or skill of Lone Shore Valley Fire Department. There can be no dispute in the fact that in an emergency situation where extrication of a victim is required, time is critical to the survival rate of the victim. Without extrication, it is difficult and sometimes impossible to provide even the most rudimentary life-saving and accompanying procedures. The sooner safe extrication can occur, the sooner critical treatment can be administered. At this time, the fire department recommends that council approves the procurement of extrication equipment and directs that emergency extrication be included in the services that North Algona Wilberforce provides. Funds to purchase equipment can be taken from the reserve account created to manage the efficiency grant, which was given to the township in March of 2019 to be used on efficiencies within the township. The grant was for a total of almost $478,000. It should be noted that in the 2020 budget, up to $150,000 was budgeted to be used for efficiencies in this fiscal year. Annual maintenance and care of the equipment is not expected to have a budget impact, as the cost of the service agreement now in existence and the call-outs exceeds the anticipated maintenance cost. The estimate for purchase, based on fire department research, very thorough research, will be no more than $60,000. The fire department is prepared to purchase equipment and implement the program. It is also recommended that the Township of Lone Shore Valley inform of the North Algona Wilberforce plans to do in-house extrication, and the township extends its thanks for years of service and NAW's willingness to continue sharing services. So this is quite an emotional thing for our fire department, for the community. And the reason we're bringing it forward in a special meeting is because of the emotional impacts and the difficulty of dealing with this tragedy and somewhat opportunity to put something in place. The equipment can be purchased out of our efficiency grant. The money is there. So it is a good use of that equipment. It's an emotional response to something that has already been brought forward to council in the last 2 months or 3 months. From staff and from the fire department, and certainly the fire department is more qualified to speak on this than me. This is a recommendation to council to purchase the equipment now and to put this in place.
At this point, my team here are available to answer any questions you might have regarding the portions of the report. Very good. So I'll read the resolution. I have a resolution that council accepts the report on extrication and authorize the fire chief to proceed with the procurement of the necessary equipment to allow the fire department to be the primary responders to extrication emergency calls not to exceed 60,000, and further that the fire chief ensures that an adequate team be established, assembled, and trained in emergency extrication. Can I get a mover and a seconder, and then we can move to discussion? Moved by Councillor Byrne, seconded by Councillor Robinson. And for those attending by Zoom, we do have the fire chief and 2 of his staff here. So if you have any specific questions for the fire department, we can direct them to the chief. Comments, questions? Councillor Burns?
With the 60,000, would that just cover one fire valve?
Yes.
Like, that wouldn't be both fire valves. Like
No, we wouldn't be able to do both. But our plan is to have both stations respond to any NBC that requires extrication.
Mm-hmm.
So
it would be housed at Rankin or at Golden Lake?
it would be housed at Rankin. That's because of the staffing level that's there and the training level that's there. If it's just a matter of geography, things might be a little different, but you got the tools where people are.
No, I know that. Thank you.
Sorry, my understanding as well from discussion with Chief Champ is that there's 7 members of the fire department stationed in, well, there's 6 in Rankin and 1 in Golden Lake that have the training already through their other employment. 5 and 2, but yes. 5 and 2, okay. But the biggest complement is at Rankin right now, so that's where the equipment would be housed. As you say, it would be both stations that would respond for extrication, and training will continue then to bring more of our members up to speed as far as extrication goes. That is correct. Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Raki Schoenfeld.
2 questions. How much of the $150,000 that we set aside is still left? And also, let's just say there was an accident that required extrication and it was closer to the BV border, we'll just say. Would we still then drive all the way from Rankin to go there? If shortness of time is important, could you not call BV, or how does that scenario kind of work?
So I'll answer the first part with the finance. We are in the neighborhood of less than 30,000 of the 150 that has been spent to date. So the remainder is at least 120,000. Council should understand that we do have to finish our procurement of some of the asset management program, which is probably going to be in less than 20,000, and to pay the final on our strategic plan, which again is going to be less than 20. So you should be closer to the $100,000 left in your account now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, for the second question, I've actually scheduled a meeting with Chief Murphy from Bonnechere Valley this weekend to see if he will be interested in entertaining basically the same model that we have for fires as we have for extrication. If they're within a certain range, they would get the first call, we would get the second call.
Okay, thank you.
Further to that, we also have a fire agreement with the Douglas Fire Department. Would we also extend that same consideration to them as well? That if they have a call for extrication close to our border, would we respond?
it's something we could certainly take up with them. I don't think that we have a large area that we are closer to than anyone else is. So it may not be the best for them. But Laurentian Valley is certainly somebody we can talk to.
Yes.
Because they're one of the other departments that does not do their own education.
Thank you.
They don't have their own equipment in Rancho Valley?
So they have one combination tool, that's all. They buy on either the town, city of Pembroke or town of Petawawa, depending on where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from council?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have any questions. I do have a couple comments I'd like to make, though.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. We've had a number of calls where either Rankin or Golden Lake Station could have started rescue operations much sooner, simply again because of the location of the incident. At one point in time, we shared extrication agreements between Eganville and Killaloe, but when Killaloe stepped out, Eganville or Ventura Valley then took over our whole area. So that did leave us with a bit of a service gap. So Ventura Valley has done a great job of supporting as best they can from the location. I think it's definitely an advantage to our department and to our township's residents that we proceed with this. The other thing that it also provides is in the event of a large incident within our municipality, say multiple vehicles or larger vehicles, we can now also call on the assets of Ventura Valley through the mutual aid program. So by having that extrication equipment, we can access mutual aid where before we didn't really have that option. If we needed more assistance, even in Ventura Valley, then to go to Pembroke or to Petawawa that provides the service, through the mutual aid, we'd be able to access that. So I think this is a really good program to begin. It's unfortunate, the incident that happened recently. And I know it's difficult to be able to have to just sit there and not be able to do everything that you're trained to do because of a lack of equipment. I'd just like to say, I think this is really beneficial, and I'd like to see it go forward.
Thank you, Councillor Buchwald, and I'd just like to, oh, sorry, yes, Councillor Rankin Schoenfeld.
I think the last time the fire department was at a meeting, we had talked about the fact of educating the public and how important our local farm department is to our township, because a lot of monies go towards the fire department. And I think it's really important that we say it's important for our citizens, and it keeps us well by having them. So I think it's just, I mean, and we talked about the value. When we put a lot of money into something, the residents have to see the importance of it. So I'm just thinking the public education component, and when we do events, you know, having them there to explain how beneficial this is very important to winning over a number of residents thinking we're spending way too much money on our fire department. I'm not, I see the value there. I'm kind of trying to play the devil's advocate, and then I think it's really important that we educate and the importance of, and this is definitely worth its weight in gold if there is a serious accident like there was.
Thank you, Councillor Rankin Schoenfeld. And just to follow up with both your comment and also Councillor Buchwald's, I do agree that the public education portion is very, very important. And I also agree that the service is very important, and we'd be well served by our department, especially since 7 of our current volunteer firefighters have the training, get the practice on a regular basis through their other employment, whether it's Camp Base Petawawa or CNL. And I think that is very important that we already have that part of the extrication covered, so that if we went ahead and got the equipment, it's not like there'd be a delay, that our fire department could certainly move right away in utilizing that equipment in the event of another accident. So I do agree, though, that it is important that the public understand that we realize the need for this, we recognize the importance of it, and we have some trained personnel that could already utilize the equipment. It's just getting that message out to the public.
And I'd like to reinforce that this is not a knee-jerk reaction to a single incident. We've been working towards this point for the last 2 years. So,
Thank you, Chief Chan. Yes,
So
Councilor.
the men that are trained in Rank, and they work on other, like on base Petawawa or Township Energy,
that's correct.
do they work different shifts? That would be obviously one of them available, a couple of them?
A couple of them for sure. We have one shift that's got 3 of them, but the rest of them are all spread out.
No, it is a good outfit, and it's only going to be a short time before we have a major accident at the intersection of Golden Lake. No, it's
True.
I see some pretty close calls there already, like it's going to happen. That is a crazy intersection.
Any other comments? Comments, questions? Seeing none, I will then call for the vote. Councillor Buckwald?
Oh,
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Councillor Bird has a question.
I just thought, when you read your report, you said 60,000,
Yes.
and in that, does it say 60 there? Did you
It
read?
says 60 on
Okay,
the
I thought,
resolution.
just checking, okay. Sorry.
No problem. Councillor Buckwald?
Still yes.
Councillor Byrne?
Yes,
Councillor Reiki Schoenfeld?
Yes.
Councillor Robinson?
Yes.
I'm a yes. That's carried. Thank you very much. I have a resolution that bylaw 2020-75, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council for September 10th, 2020, be read a first and second time this 10th day of September 2020. Could I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Byrne, seconded by Councillor Buckwald. Any further comments? Seeing none, be read a third time and finally passed this 10th day of September 2020. Councillor Buckwald?
Yes.
Councillor Byrne?
yes,
Councillor Reiki Schoenfeld?
Yes.
Councillor Robinson?
Yes.
I'm a yes, that's carried. Thank you. I have a resolution that this special meeting of council adjourns at 6:33 p.m. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Buckwald, seconded by Councillor Robinson. Councillor Buckwald,
Yes.
Councillor Byrne,
yes,
Councillor Reiki Schoenfeld,
Yes.
Councillor Robinson.
Yes.
Yes, that's carried. Thank you very much. We are adjourned.